I love it when clients can be in the room with me when we're doing color work because it makes that process of communication a lot simpler. But if we've learned anything in these last few years, having clients on site is not something we can guarantee. Working remotely is something we need to figure out. But one of the problems with working remotely is what if that client, what if that viewer doesn't have a calibrated screen to be viewing the project? Well, then it's almost pointless because if their screen isn't calibrated, how in the world do we know if they're seeing what we're seeing? It's probably really out of whack on their end. To solve this issue, we've seen a growing trend of using iPad Pros specifically to help bridge this gap. Now, iPad Pros aren't a perfect solution, but they come well enough calibrated out of the box that with some tweaks, we can have a reasonably reliable long-distance remote review device. So today I want to show you how I set these up and ship them to clients so that if you want to use this solution, you can do it as well. Let's start with some settings on the iPad that you need to make sure you've checked out before you move forward. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to open up the settings menu. And in the settings menu, if you go under display and brightness, you want to make sure that you have true tone here, if you look at it here, turned off. True tone will try to adjust the screen's white balance to fit the surrounding environment, and that is a terrible idea. You do not want this device trying to reorient the white balance automatically to different times of day or settings of light in the room. The next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the appearance is not set to automatic and it is set to dark there. Both those things should be consistent. Also, night shift. Night shift is when the screen kind of gets a little more warm at night. Make sure that is turned off. That would be terrible if that got turned on between review sessions. Next, under accessibility, if we go to display and text size, if we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see auto brightness is here. We want to make sure auto brightness is turned off. We do not want that on. The next thing we need to do is set the brightness level for the iPad display. Now, generally this sits somewhere around 50% for iPad Pros, but we can do a little bit better and get more specific. Let me show you how. So we're going to need to set a few things up in Davinci Resolve before we move forward. So I'm going to set the iPad down here. Now we need to make sure we're using Resolve on the system that we have the calibrated monitor set up with. So I'm using this on my main desktop system here. I'm opening a new project and I'm just going to pull out a very simple solid color here. I'm going to drop that in and make this full white. So I'm just going to drag that up to full white, hit OK, and then I'm going to zoom in and just make this a new compound clip. What that does is it allows me to put up a white patch basically on my calibrated monitor here, which is going to represent the approximately 100 nits calibration white point, which is for the SDR standard. So this is our peak brightness that we want to try to match on the iPad. Now, from your perspective right here, as I'm looking in the camera's monitor, because you're off center of the screen, it kind of has a little bit of a funny look as you move to the side. But when you do this, you'll be looking at it straight on, so that won't be a problem. Now what we need to do is pump a white patch through the iPad Pro for us to compare to the calibrated monitor. So the way I'm going to do that is I actually have a second copy of Davinci Resolve opened on my laptop here. So this is a little MacBook Air. And I'm going to set up a remote monitoring session so I can pump a white patch through my laptop to the iPad so it's separate from my calibrated system. So let's jump into this copy of Resolve. I'm basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull a solid color patch here. I'm going to make the color white all the way up to white. I'm going to make this a compound clip. I'm just going to leave the name as is. And I already have started a remote monitor session. Feel free to reference my previous video if you want to know how to set up that remote monitoring session, but here's where we're at. We now have a white patch being pumped through the iPad Pro from my laptop. So this is a separate system that now I can hold up to my calibrated monitor and judge brightness by comparison. Now, you're gonna have a hard time doing this because the viewing angle on both of these monitors looks really different. But to my eye, as I hold these up, I'm going to compare the brightness of the two, and right at about that 50% number, that's pretty close. I might just drop it ever so slightly bit more. Right about there, and we're getting a good match. Now I know from your perspective of the camera, you're seeing it at a very off angle, so it won't match up correctly, but that's the first step. Once you have that in place, then what you want to do is document where that brightness level is sitting. So on my system right here, you're seeing that it's almost exactly on that 50% line. So that's where I'm going to document it. If you're setting this up as a client and you don't have access to a calibrated review monitor, I will say 50% or sometimes maybe 55% seems to be a pretty safe place to do this if you don't have another monitor to compare what 100 nits brightness looks like to. Now that we have the peak brightness set at approximately the right place, we need to now look at the white point of the screen. This is so often where I see iPad Pros deviating from proper calibration. So you won't be able to see this from your angle here because the way you view the screen adjusts your perspective of it. But when I compare my calibrated monitor to the iPad Pro, I'm seeing that the iPad Pro is feeling a little cooler. What I can do is I can actually jump over here to my MacBook Air, and on a single node here, let me ungroup these red, green, and blue curves. I can start manually adjusting the white point as I watch and compare to my calibrated monitor. So let me do this here. Let me pull my laptop up as I look at these two. So as I look and compare, it looks like it is a little too cool at the moment. So I am going to take some of the blue out. Now that's feeling a little too yellow, so we'll back it up a little bit. That's pretty close. And then I'm seeing... Now I'm doing this pretty quickly because I'm trying to keep this tutorial concise, but I would recommend spending a good chunk of time really getting a solid match at this point. Once you feel like you have a pretty reasonable match, what you can do is you can right-click on that clip and actually generate a LUT that will act as a calibration LUT. So I tend to use just a 33-point LUT there. Once you have this, you should start double checking your work. And the way you would do that is you would play some clips on your main machine and then put those same clips on your secondary machine and just compare the two screens together to make sure that your brightness and your white point adjustment seem to be accurate. Once you have a high level of confidence in this makeshift calibration LUT, you will know that whatever you see on your end, as long as you add that LUT at the end of your node tree before you send that file to them for review, it will be adjusting what you see to correctly represent it on the iPad Pro screen. Now, some of the newer iPad Pros, like I think the 12.9 inch right now, are actually letting you enter in white point calibration numbers, which is awesome. I love that so much. But this one doesn't have it. This is the 11 inch at the moment in time, and I know a bunch of iPads don't currently support that. But if you have that option, absolutely choose that method over this makeshift calibration LUT. That will be slightly more reliable over time. A couple other tips and tricks that I'll mention is oftentimes it's really nice to be able to send messages directly to your clients on the iPad. And so I actually have this Wire app that you'll see here set up. And the way Wire works is it's a good secure messaging application that you only need an email address to sign up for. So I just have like my email address set up for my account, and then I just created a secondary kind of spam email address for the account on the iPad. So at any time I can send them links or sign-in codes. For example, when you set up a remote monitoring session, you need to send them that session code. Well, it's really easy to send that through Wire. They can just copy and paste that right into the app. It saves a lot of work. If you're looking for how to protect the iPad during shipping, I really like coupling the iPad Pro with just like this Logitech keyboard case. There's a bunch of options out there, but I think it works pretty well. It keeps it safe, and entering notes for review is far easier with a keyboard attached. This one's great because the keyboard charging uses a USB-C, just like the iPad, so you don't have to include separate charging cables. What I also do is, let me pull this out, I also ship the iPad in a Pelican case. So this is the Pelican 1075. It's actually meant as a laptop case, but I find that it fits the iPad rather beautifully. So I'll do this. I'll include the charging cables and some cleaning cloths. Here, let me show you that. In a separate bag, and then both of these just go inside a cardboard box and I ship it out. I'll have all these links just listed on my free resource page in case you want to just copy and paste the setup. If you want to do a little more reading on this topic, Netflix actually has published some guidelines on what are some best practices for long distance remote color using iPad Pros. I will put links to that in my resource page. You can find that in the description. So there you go. There is how I prep and send out iPad Pros for remote color review. Obviously, we love it when people are in studio here, and if they're remote, it's even better if they have professional calibration on their monitors. But this is a step that you can do to just about anyone, anywhere in the world to get them a fairly reliable review device in their hands. So what questions do you have? Make sure to leave your questions down in the comments. Also, if you like this video, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. All right, I'll see you in the next one.